Well, somebody suggested the other day that I should tell some of my stories. Got a bunch of them. And the people that are closest to me, I've probably told these stories, or at least a few of them, too many times. So, and I think it's a nice, enjoyable thing for me to do, since that's about all I've got left are my stories and ideas. I still have hopes, dreams, ideas, even at my age. Dreams die hard like NASCAR drivers driving into walls. I don't want to say what I thought next, but anyway, it's something that I enjoy hearing myself. I'm an Uber driver, and I get to hear many people's stories, and I get to share my own. But a friend here on Facebook suggested that now that we have this COVID stuff going on and people self-quarantining, and all the lockdown businesses, that we need more stories, and not just mine, but mine are mine to tell. So I could just picture my brother saying, "Oh no, not the immigrant story again." Yeah, another immigrant story. Uh, Now, I don't know, half the people in the country seem to think that anyone coming across the border without proper papers, documentation, etc., is a criminal. Well, what do you think? What would you do if you were in their place? And I'm just talking about the basic immigrant. Basic. What do I mean by basic? I mean, in other words, an ordinary person just coming here to make his way in life, not to commit crimes or transport drugs. Even though that's another issue that's kind of, there's some issues in every issue. Anyway, getting back to the immigrant stories. The immigrants don't get to tell their stories, nor do the people that help them. And they're all lumped into the category of illegal immigration, which now, under President Trump, was considered a crime. And many people who support him share that they consider it a crime to come here to feed their families, to be able to make it a little better for themselves. Which, if the places where they came from were treating them right, they wouldn't have to. Ordinary people having to risk their lives just to feed their families. That's what I see at the border. Yeah, I guess there are people coming here to do mischief, but there's a lot of people that were born here that are into mischief. Anyway, my story of my becoming acquainted with the illegal immigration situation is not typical. In fact, it's kind of comically turned on its head, because I was a homeless, conservative Christian. I'm not going to go into the details of how I became that way. That's another story. But I was homeless with a family, 6 kids, and a sick wife. And we were traveling across the country at the invitation of my Mexican son-in-law, Mexican American. He was a citizen. And they were helping us out. Now get that. My Mexican son-in-law is helping the poor homeless American family, part of his family, helping us out. Get the irony of that. I mean, it's always struck me just the way it sounds. Sounds like it should be the other way around. The American farmer, opening his, home to his poor Mexican immigrant. But anyway, so that was the best opportunity we had. We were traveling across the country and going to a couple of weeks of work and a place to stay till we found something better. And when we got there, I got there just in time for the pistachio harvest. He was a manager of a pistachio farm. And he paid me well, the going wage, and for farm labor, and fed us, gave us a little place to stay. It wasn't much. It was a little mobile home, probably about 30 feet long, and no running water or electricity. We had to hook up an extension cord to have any light at all in there. And during the day, I would help him operate the machinery that harvests the pistachios. I gained 10 pounds in 2 weeks eating raw pistachios. Anyway, that's another story. But after the harvest was over, there was no work there. And the town that he lived nearby was a town of 800 people, which most of the people I've talked to from Arizona don't even know exists. It was called Bowie, probably named after Jim Bowie, Arizona. Just 30 miles from the New Mexico state line, and about 60 miles north of Douglas, Arizona, the border. And anyway, he told me one night, after all the wives and children had gone to bed, he leaned into me and he said, "Dan," he said, "there's no work here, and I know you need work to feed your family. But when there is work, it's usually seasonal, and the locals get chosen first. And that's usually all there is." And he said, "I can't pay you in the off season because I'm just the manager here. I'm not the owner." And it was about midnight. I remember very well. He leaned into me further and he said, "If we went outside right now and were very quiet and listened, we might be able to hear the voices of people talking softly as they walk through the desert at night." And I thought, what's he getting at? And he said, "It's a river of gold flowing through the desert, because these people need to get to different locations to be reunited with families or to find work to feed their families back home. And they pay very well. It's honest work, but it is dangerous. You can get caught, and that's prison." And I kind of recoiled. I said, "Wait a minute. That's a felony. That's a crime. People coming across the border and helping them is considered a felony, a crime. I can't do that. I'm a believer. I don't commit crimes even to feed my family." And he said, "Just pray about it, Dan. I know you're in a desperate situation, and I wouldn't want you to do anything against your conscience." So I went to bed that night, conflicted, deeply conflicted, because I had the responsibility of feeding my family, and I had no means, no way that I could do that at that time. And so I went to bed that night, troubled. And I talked to God about it all night long. I would ask him, what should I do? You know the predicament I'm in. And then I would doze off and, wake up and do it again. That must have happened 5, 6 times during the night. And in the morning, I was about to do it again when, just before the sun rose, I heard a whisper in my mind. And it said simply, when you're helping these, the least of your brothers, you are helping me. And I stopped and realized that these were the very words of Jesus. And he was speaking them to his followers. Yeah, I believe God cares for the immigrants and doesn't consider them criminals. But it's a basic human right to take care of your business, to survive, and to feed your families and those who depend upon you. As long as you're doing it honestly, you have a right from the Almighty. Read any book that talks about God, and you'll find it there. We all have the right to be. Anyway, I decided then that I was given permission to do so. In fact, I was given instruction to do so. And so that was when I decided to be a coyote. Now, this is just the first part of this story. I have to get back to work, but thank you for listening. And there's more to come, because there are the immigrants' stories that the coyote heard. I have a song about it, and I'm going to play it for you before I do the next chapter. It's called Immigrant, a Coyote's Tale.